Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the BB855 double weight 5x6 hinge from Stanley. This is an unusual hinge in the sense that you don't usually see hinges that look so large and unusual, and in fact this is not the really large and unusual version. This is more of the petite version. This is going to be used in applications where you have something really heavy, several hundreds of pounds, and this is a detention style hinge, and in fact it's out of the Stanley Detention catalog. It's going to be used on applications where you have doors that are not unlike detention doors. It's probably likely that you've never seen a detention door, and I really haven't either, with the exception of being a tourist at Alcatraz. But what those doors are is really thick welded steel, several hundreds of pounds each kind of stuff, sliding, swinging, and that's what this is intended for. Let's take some dimensions. First of all, it's 5x6. The height is the first dimension on hinges, including the BB855. It's 5-inch high, and it's 6-inch wide. The leaf thickness, and this is just what's called a double weight. This double weight is 0.275. So this is 13-30 seconds thick. Yeah, sounds about, no. .930 seconds. Yeah, about 930 seconds. So 0.275. So that's really thick. This is an application B, which we're going to go over, and that means a couple of things. It has holes for screws, and it's full surface. Okay. Now you may want an application B because you're going to weld it. In that case, I would probably, it depends on what you're welding it to, but I might consider this type of hinge. If I'm going to plug weld this, like to a 1/4-inch thick channel iron, I might want the hole already there. Drill into the channel iron, plug weld that entire area closed, the countersunk, which is intended for these very large, which I'm going to guess are 3/8 screws, and grind and sand and paint. Let's switch to the. Let's talk about exactly where you're going to use this hinge. Okay, the BB855 is a double weight concealed bearing prison hinge is what it's called. This is steel with a welded pin, and what that means is the barrel is literally formed over, and then the area that the metal meets, once they've bent this or rolled this, imagine well, it's called a roll bender. I'm thinking that's not unlike this, how these are made. Flat piece of steel, it's got a roller here and then two down here, and you put that metal through there, and then you pinch the rolls together and you feed the steel through until it literally curls back over. Well, once it curls back over, they then weld that closed there, and then it's welded here. That makes for a really strong hinge. They've got this with what's called a concealed. Obviously the ball bearing raceways that are in there you can't get to. This is a access point for lubrication, and it's not atypical to lubricate these over the lifespan of this hinge in terms of maintenance. The location of these screw holes, I don't know if these are template pattern. I'm going to think that it's not. It's never occurred to me to determine whether or not they are the template pattern, but you wouldn't use this on anything templated pattern anyway. So why do we stock these? We do endeavor to stock all of the BB855s and the BB852s, and all of these means all the different applications, whether it be full surface or whether it be full mortise or whether it be half surface or half mortise, that sort of application. Not necessarily half surface. but depending on how you apply the hinges, we've seen it all, and whether or not you're going to have holes, and then also what the margin will be in terms of the swag on the hinge leaf itself. So this is an application B. There are applications A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. So 7 different ways that they can put this hinge together, and we'll show you that in the product brochure. But the reason I try to stock these is because, sure enough, someone's going to call on a Friday and say, I've got a 500-pound gate and I need it swinging tomorrow. And, you know, the gate took 12 weeks to get approved and then another 16 weeks to get made. It was flown in from Italy last minute because they didn't plan ahead. And all of a sudden, the most crucial thing hasn't been thought about, and that's the hanging device. So we do attempt to stock hanging devices that are very unusual. In fact, there's a box right there at the tip of my finger that's got a 3,000-pound pivot set in it. So if you needed a center hung pivot that will hang a 3,000-pound, I endeavor to keep one in stock. So let's switch to the screen view and let's look at the documentation. We've talked about where you'll use it for. Something you got something super heavy, you want a full surface hinge. This is going to hang a door that's awfully heavy, and the awfully heavy is based on 800 pounds. When you are using 3 hinges and you're not exceeding a 3070 door, the height's less important than the width. The width is really important. If you're getting out to a wider door, there's no guidance in terms of how many more hinges to use. And the way that it's been said to me, and it makes sense, is you can hold 20 pounds directly on your head very easily. It's not so easy to hold 5 pounds stretched out at arm's length. So the height is like the 20 pounds on the top of your head. The width is the 5 pounds out at arm's length. So if I was going to do something that was 4.0, I would probably consider 4 hinges on a 4070, and I would soldier stack 2 up at the top is probably what I would do. People that are buying these, there's probably not a lot of engineering that's occurring in the sense, there's probably not a lot of engineering occurring about the hanging device beyond what's it rated for, let's double it, and we know that we feel we'll be okay. That sort of field engineering. Let's switch to the screen view and let's look at some actual information. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. Okay, this is not the exact hinge, because this is the BB852, because the BB855 is not yet built. The BB852 is a triple weight hinge, but the point of the matter is, I have this page open because it will get us to the product catalog where I can show you the additional information. We have some photographs here that I'd like to show you of the material. In no particular order, these are the screws that are included. That is showing you the swag line on the hinge, meaning there is no bend or 0-degree swag. No bend on these hinges. The back side of the hinge, made of steel, prime coat gray. A little bit of oil that you can see here, and that's evidenced of the forced lubricant that's been put in there to keep those ball bearings happy, so to speak. Drilled and countersunk holes. A little bit of a close-up, just showing you a little bit more detail on that knuckle assembly. And I think I have got one showing you what the weld looks like here. Not a great weld, but a little too much heat, I believe, is happening here. A little too much heat and a little too fast. Well, they're going fast because of the heat. There's your label. This is a BB855. This is an application B. It is prime coat, and it is 5x6. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the product catalog that I had mentioned earlier. Product catalog. Okay, so that product catalog is here. Let's open it up. And then, as I'd mentioned earlier, this is their Detention hardware catalog. And let's take a look. And I'll leave it to you to discover interesting points about this catalog, the different types of hinges that are in here that are detention related. And we're just going to scroll right to the BB855. So double weight. That means 800 pounds based on a 3070 with 3 hinges. Now, I've mentioned the triple weight. That's the BB852 on the next page. 2,000 pound door based on a 3070 with 3 hinges. We stock these. I stock a small quantity of each of these applications. And by the time you're seeing this video, I'll probably have the double weight in stock as well in all the applications. So, double weight concealed ball bearing prison hinge, BB855, steel with welded pin, phosphated and prime coated for painting, lead line doors to x-ray rooms and other exceptionally heavy doors. Yeah, I don't think that a full surface hinge is going to be ideal for a lead line door. I would be using a pivot for a lead line door, but I think what's most important to realize is heavy doors. Heavy doors. 1/8 inch lead, things of that nature. Made of double weight steel, capable of carrying doors, again, 800 pounds. Each of the 2 concealed hardened steel races contains 16 1/8 of an inch hardened steel balls, which are assembled in a jacket. Concealed bearings are well lubricated. We talked about that earlier. Rolled knuckles are welded and machined, as I had described. Typically made, not swagged. No holes, application A. They're saying application A is most common, but there are other applications. So let's talk about those applications. And here it is. This is application B. Same as application A, except that it has holes. Application A is full surface, no holes. Awesome. If you're going to literally weld around the perimeter of the hinge, you want an A. If you're going to attach it with the fasteners that are included or plug weld, you may want a B. That hole may be too large for plug welding. I would think that it probably is, and that you'll drill a much smaller hole in the channel iron and then have to fill all of that. But if you're a welder, that's of no major consequence. Then you see the application C, D, and E, where these are all full mortise, and what changes here is the swag dimension, or the dimension between the leaves when they're brought parallel. Application C is where you're going to go on the outside of some corner iron. D is when you're going on the inside. So you go from a 9/16 swag line to an 1/8 of an inch. And then a special swagged. And technically with an application E, I don't know what that dimension is, but it is very likely 3/8, maybe a good guess as to what that line would be. I don't know what it is. They don't give us guidance here. Let's see, on the triple weight. Yeah, they don't. So I think what they actually do. What they're saying is leaves can be swagged apart any distance between a 1/16 and 9/16. So the application E is important if you have a specific dimension between the leaves, and then you'll specify what that dimension is. So application E, BB855, and then your dimension. Half mortise, you've got application F and G. The difference is one has holes for screws and the other doesn't. And half mortise means you'll always have the word in half mortise or half surface. You'll always have the word half in the definition. What I would call the adjective, which is probably not the adjective, but the important word there is the leaf that you apply to the door. So if it's a half mortise, you're going to be mortising to the edge of the door and surface mounting to the frame. In a half surface, you are surface mounting to the door and then mortising or going to the edge of the frame as you would in a mortised application. So whatever this, you'll always have this word. Whatever this is, whatever this word means, surface or mortise, it applies to the leaf on the door. That's how you remember that. A table down here giving some information. 9/32. That's what we said. 1/2 inch diameter pin. Awesome. And that's it. The rest of the catalog will allow you to review other items detention related. Admittedly, we don't sell very many of these, but it's because they're unusual to begin with. So, extended description information is here. It's a summary of everything we've just discussed. Then the cut sheet of the applications is here for your review. There's a link below this video as seen here to the manufacturer's page, and from here you can pull up not only all of the Stanley products we sell by means of this horizontal navigation as seen here, but also a link to the manufacturer's website here, as well as a link to the full product catalog, which is that 2011 Detention brochure. If you're looking for builder's hardware, the 2010 architectural hardware catalog would be the one for you. Let's wrap up this video on camera. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. And I would like to, since I have my caliper, I would like to tell you the diameter of the bolt. Yeah, this is 3/8. So 3/8 is what it's going to be. Those threads look, yeah, 3/8 it would be 3/8 24. So a 3/8 diameter on the flathead Phillips machine bolt. The name Stanley is quite synonymous with builder's hardware, obviously with detention-related hardware like this. When people think of Stanley in the builder's hardware area, they don't think of BB852s. That's to be sure, at least I don't. But they do have that product catalog available for your review. But it's their common items, the FBB199s, the FBB191, the 168, the 179, the CB version of all of that. And my personal opinion about Stanley hinges is that they're most times the hinge of my preference. I would choose Stanley hinges, and it's because the fit and finish is exceptional. When you take the hinge out of the box, it just looks really well compared to other manufacturers' hinges who's producing hinges that don't look like they came from the same environment that the Stanley does, where I'm imagining that they've got much tighter control over the manufacturing process. I've seen things on other people's hinges like sanding run out, where the leaf is actually a different thickness at the end because the machine is taking too much off at the end of the finishing process. The area of the barrel and the crotch of the barrel where the leaf meets it, sometimes the finishing isn't really good in there, especially with oil rub bronze. The Stanley hinges that I've seen over the decades always look really good. Also, when you take the Stanley hinge out of the box and you wave it like this, not that you'll do that with this so much, because this hinge weighs 3.3 pounds, but when you take a Stanley hinge, even this, when you take this hinge out of the box, the leaf just moves so nicely. Other manufacturers' hinges just don't do that. You know, a hinge is a hinge is a hinge until it's not, and I like the Stanley product a lot, and I would consider that you would be well informed, I think, if you reviewed their catalog. Speaking about the catalog, the first section is quite encyclopedic in nature, so if you wanted to know the formula for wide throw, or what an olive knuckle hinge was, or what a raised barrel hinge, or how much weight will a CB199 carry, their catalog is great for that. They're not the only manufacturer who has a encyclopedic approach in their product catalog, but not everyone does. And Stanley's one of the ones that do, and theirs is very good. Any questions on the BB852 or any other Stanley detention product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you. Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.